See Circle Calendar 1520. East Blue. See Restaurant Barati. Waiter. A purple-haired man in a suit with a metal sleeve on his right hand shouted loudly. As for Rodan, who had just passed the dishes to a table of guests, the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. Who called him? It's Captain Hopper T, in the early stage. That is the character who was beaten by Fatty. It's a pity that today's Rodan is also a walk-on. And since the waiter ran out yesterday, Barati was left as a waiter. Even if you want to push it to others, I can't push it away. Rodan sighed, approached table 10 slowly, and asked, Guest, what can I do? Hey, do you all serve this kind of soup with bugs in it to your customers? Habati pointed to the thick soup and questioned loudly. This move immediately attracted the attention of a crowd of diners. Rodan was about to speak, available at this time. The long-lost system notification tone suddenly rang. Ding. The progress bar reaches 100%. Congratulations on successfully activating the girly system. Rodan froze for a moment, then ecstatically. He has been wearing pirates for 3 full years. 3 years. Stuck at 99% for so long, the progress bar finally finished loading. Rodan had given up all hope. I plan to wait until the arrival of the Straw Hats and try to follow the boat. Now it seems, obviously there is no need for that. Ding. A girly character is being randomly drawn. Congratulations on getting one of the 7 warlords of the sea, Crocodile. Do you want to call now? Note. The summoned characters come from various parallel worlds, and the summoned characters will obey the instructions of the host 100%. Please use it as much as you like. Rodan came back to himself. He noticed 7 warlords of the sea, and obeyed 100%. As for the word Niangwa, he put it aside for the time being. Now that the system is here. Now, who is still a waiter? What are you in a daze for? Hoboti couldn't restrain his anger. You bastard, are you ignoring me? Yes, sir. Rodan's courage rose instantly. Eyes moved. At this time, besides Hoboti, there was also a blonde woman with a ball head tied at table 10. Lipstick and pink nails, youthful and beautiful. At Blue Star, he is unattainable. Even here it is the same. But now, Rodan wants to go wild. He put his right hand against her jaw, just about to say something. But touched a handful of white ash. Good guy. Immediately lost the mood. Excuse me. Asshole. Seeing his female companion being touched casually, Hoboti smashed the table with a punch. Clatter. Exquisite food and drinks were spilled all over the place. Your store, don't you want to keep it open? Hope, who wanted to find fault? More excuses. But he is indeed angry, at this time. Not far away, Sanji in a black suit saw the food being spoiled. Frowning and walking quickly, and after Hopper T finished speaking, he grabbed Rodan's collar even more forcefully. Stop arguing, Mr. Hopper T. The female companion got up and wanted to start a fight. Stop talking. Hopper T pushed her away hard. It's fine that the sous chef made him lose face before, so what's the right of this waiter? Tisk. Rodan didn't panic and moved his right foot. It kicked firmly in his chest. Boom. There was a muffled sound. Hoboti flew upside down 3 meters and smashed a window. Seeing this, the female companion covered her mouth. The diners were also very stunned, wanting to see how things would be handled. Sanji, who stopped in his tracks, was slightly startled and said, Rodan, what are you doing? A person like Rodan, who usually doesn't cause trouble, how can he change to the past? He is the one to do this kind of thing. It's nothing. From now on, I'm not a waiter in this restaurant. Rodan slipped off his overalls neatly, dumped it to Sanji. Then he walked out the door without looking back. All that's left is a crowd of diners and Sanji scrambling in the breeze. At once, it's over. After Rodan went out, immediately found a corner where no one was around, and started using cheat. Calling. The system responded in time. Next second, an orange vortex opened in front of him. Da da da. Deep in the vortex, there was a sound of clashing leather shoes. The first to step out, it is a slender leg wearing cropped trousers. Immediately afterwards, she is a young woman with a shiny purple back hair and a delicate face. She was wearing a fur coat and an orange long-sleeved shirt underneath. Hold it tight. There was also a cigar in his mouth. There is quite a kind of unruly aura of the female boss of the gang, who is upset with everyone. Crocodile took off the cigar with his right hand and looked around. Hey, where is this? The voice line has a slight royal sister sound. Let people have a listen. I got goosebumps all over my body. But the next second, a bunch of basic information from this world was instilled in her mind. Sex turned sand crocodile? Rodan swallowed. In front of. No golden scorpion hooks, and no sutures on the face. Regardless of clothing. A perfect lady. Is that what the system meant when it said summoning a mothered character? Sissy original characters. It's so interesting. In fact, Lao Sha's gender has always been suspected, and Ivankov suspected that he had been transsexual. Now it's all right. No need to change. The original taste came out. A fierce general. The combat power of Shichibukai. Plus absolutely obey your own words. No matter how big East Blue is, where can't it go? Certainly. Nor is it limited to East Blue. As long as the opportunity is right, you can go to the Grand Line now. Rodan thought. Then opened the introduction panel about Crocodile. Nickname 7 Warlords of the Sea, age 20 years old. Strength. 2.5 stars, full star 5. Origin parallel world 211. Experience. When I was young, I was like Luffy, and became famous in the sea with the momentum of breaking bamboo. At the age of 20, he met Douglas Bullet, a 19-year-old former crew member of the Roger Pirates, and the battle was inconclusive. Because of this, his fame soared, and he was invited by the world government to become the next Shichibukai. At this stage, it is preparing to challenge Whitebeard. Rodan looked away. This is the same as the experience of Lao Sha in the original play in his early years. It's nothing more than a gender change. Then, when he was about to challenge Whitebeard, he was cut off by himself. But that's fine too. The province suffered a severe beating, and the heart of improving self-strength transformed into a quest for Pluton, that illusory plan. And 20 years old, it is also the period of strength improvement. Just hold on. Lao Sha can also pick Admiral. By the way, the system, what are the conditions for extracting sissy characters? Host can be drawn once a week, and the strength will not be lower than the character summoned for the first time. Once a week. Rodan nodded. And the strength of the summoned characters is no less than that of Lao Sha. Then according to this efficiency, he will soon be able to summon a group of strong men. They're all sissy too. Thinking about it is a little bit of anticipation. In addition, the host can choose any location to sign in, and after successful sign-in, you will get random rewards of varying degrees. The more famous the sign-in location is, the richer the rewards the host can get. Excuse me, host, do you choose to sign in at the Sea Restaurant Barati? Not only is there a weekly character draw, there's even a sign-in lottery? Of course, sign in now, Rodan excitedly said. Ding. Host has successfully checked in at the Sea Restaurant. Congratulations on getting a pair of black grid socks. It can improve the user's hockey level. Because this is the first time to sign in, an extra reward host conquerors hockey. The voice fell. A mysterious feeling emerged from Rodan's body. These 3 years. Ashamed to say, he worked out day and night and never gave up. Physical fitness has improved. But as for hockey's awakening, I still can't figure it out. It's good now, with system rewards, as long as he has a thought. Conqueror's hockey is ready to be unleashed. Not bad, it saves me time to practice, but... Grid black socks? Is it the one worn by CP9 Khalifa? No, what does he want this for? Rodan looked away. This stuff. He certainly wouldn't wear it. On the other hand, Crocodile. It is difficult to accept the information in the mind for a while. This is parallel world, and it belongs to the world of men? And let yourself obey the man in front of you. What are you kidding? Crocodile's beautiful eyes darkened. Mother, I want to challenge Whitebeard and become the woman of One Piece. Obey? To hell with it. Her right hand quickly turned into a desert sword and was about to strike Rodan. But, just when the ability is activated, Crocodile suddenly felt a sense of weakness. It is more intense than the sea stone with 100% content on the body. Her body went limp, and she collapsed onto the deck. You still resist? Rodan raised an eyebrow slightly. But it's okay. As long as the body does not resist. After all but in the future, I will conquer the sea as a tool. Crocodile grinned. Bastard, what did you do to me? A mere man actually wants to control himself? She didn't even bother that Whitebeard guy asked her to be his daughter. This guy. It's wishful thinking. Rodan approached slowly. And then, gently brushing away the purple hair hanging from her cheeks, she lowered her head and said with a smile, the system has already told you, and you should understand everything that should be understood. From now on, just work hard for me. The voice fell. A familiar male voice suddenly sounded from a distance. Rodan, what are you doing to this beautiful lady? Sanji strode forward, sweeping his foot towards Rodan. Boom. Rodan blocked with one hand, his body motionless. Old Shaw, put Sanji down. After the order is issued. Crocodile's strength came back again, and the body. He also stood up uncontrollably, pinching Sanji's neck with one hand. Sanji saw this scene. The loving eyes shot out instantly. "Madam, don't thank me like that." That's what it says. But his body couldn't help but lean forward, obviously wanting to embrace the beauty in his arms. But development of things, obviously not as good as he imagined. There was only a sound of wind and sand, in a blink. Sanji was sucked dry and fell to the deck with a bang. "Don't kill this guy. You. From now on, shut up." Rodan glanced at her. When Crocodile heard the words, he did so in an instant. In the eyes, there is a panic that cannot be concealed. Her life. Are you about to be manipulated at will? Rodan threw the emaciated Sanji overboard. 3 years of getting along. There is still a little emotion, so it won't be put to death. Rodan looked up slightly. Even though Crocodile became a woman, she was over 2 meters tall. Taller than him. But this does not affect her shapely figure. "You know hockey, right?" Rodan asked the question he had been curious about all along. It stands to reason that it is definitely possible to break into the new world. But in the original book, Lao Shaw's performance in Alabasta, it really made him dare not compliment. Crocodile frowned and nodded stiffly. In his heart, he looked at the man in front of him who looked down on him. Scolded all over. "Very good," Rodan said. Removed grid black stockings from the system inventory. Put it on. People with Logia's fruit ability like Lao Shaw. Early fruits are eaten too early. Often because of the expanded strength and convenient elementalization, they do not pay attention to the body and hockey's practice. And the grid socks rewarded by the system can upgrade hockey to a higher level. The increase is expected to be large. This is an artifact that can become stronger. Be quick, it's not good to be misunderstood. When Crocodile heard this, his eyes widened suddenly. Become stronger. Ghost letter, in addition. In the world she belongs to. Whether it's high heels or socks. These are all worn by men, and women don't wear such things at all. Without it, Grandpa fired, but she couldn't control her body. Soon. The black trousers fell off, and she changed into mesh socks. This made her blushing, her pretty face even more attractive. Think yourself dignified Shichibukai. She was forced to dress like this. Simply shameless. Rodan looked slightly appreciative, and slowly retracted it. The other side. The entrance of the restaurant. Suddenly ran into a hurried Marine. "Captain, it's not good, Captain." His left cheek was covered with blood, and he looked extremely panicked. "We let the pirate Krieg's men escape." What? Hope, who fell to the ground, was also in a panic. Nosebleeds and fresh blood continued to flow from the head. "I don't know who hit it. The Krieg gang? Isn't that the strongest pirate group in East Blue?" All the diners exclaimed. Few people in East Blue don't know the infamous Krieg pirates. Boom. Gunshots rang out. I saw a Jin, the ghost man, coming from behind, and he shot and killed the Marine with a gun in one hand. "Ah! Run!" The diners screamed. They all hid in the corner, for fear that if they were not careful, they would harm Yonkai. Only a few chefs remained calm. Could it be another guy who wants to mess around in my shop? Zap was in a bad mood. He glanced at the straw hat youth beside him. This guy just smashed his roof with a shell. The account is not yet settled. Here comes another trouble, and Jin. Then he went straight into the restaurant, and when he passed by Captain Hope, he didn't bother him. Walk step by step. There is an indescribable momentum. Just didn't take a few steps. He felt a strong force coming from his body, and he was pushed to the dining table beside him like a little daughter-in-law. Instantly lost momentum. J-Poo, who had a beard tied in 2 braids, could not help cursing when he saw who was coming. "You bastard, why don't you get out of here?" Hope also whispered, "This waiter is going to be killed." Damn it. Ajin leaned on the table with his left hand, raised his flintlock with his right hand, and aimed at the man. But glimpse behind the man. Behind the tall, shadowed figure at the door. The pupils suddenly contracted. Now, not just him. Chef Zap and Captain Hopperty were all taken aback. This one is dressed up. Are you kidding me? King. 7 warlords of the sea. It doesn't make sense. Why would someone of that level come here? A few people who were calm before. At this moment, they all trembled and their foreheads were covered with fine sweat. Boom. Ajin couldn't hold his gun steadily and fell to the restaurant floor. The other diners were also shocked. Even more shocking than hearing the name, Krieg. Except for Luffy, who was bewildered. He didn't know what 7 warlords of the sea was. Shichibukai, is it delicious? Crocodile at the door. Then he showed a smile. Did not expect. He in the parallel world. Fame can spread to East Blue. She wrapped her coat tightly. One step into the restaurant, out of the shadows, revealing his true face. Wait, is Croc so white? This is obviously a woman. PFF'd. Sure, there's no sand crocodile in women's grid stockings. Ha ha ha. All the diners roared with laughter. Ah Jin sees this. He also breathed a sigh of relief. The scary thing about Shichibukai. Their pirate group had just experienced it not long ago. A whole fleet of 50 ships, just 7 days into the Grand Line. Most of them were wiped out by that terrifying man alone. 2. How can Shichibukai be so easy to show up? Hopper T breathed a sigh of relief. Then he stood up and straightened his suit, walked around Rodan and went straight to her. Walk aside. Also laughing. Ha ha ha, beauty. Look at who you are not good at impersonating. How dare you play him? With his left hand in his pocket, Hobody put his right hand close to his ear and whispered, Girl, I'm Captain Marine. I can contact Shichibukai. Think about it, if you pretend to be someone. He was talking to himself, but completely ignored Crocodile, that gloomy look in Ultimate's eyes. Hey, don't worry, as long as you play with me for a few. Hopper T was speechless. I saw Crocodile stretching out his hand. Kwangsha swept over him. For a moment, he sucked his body into shriveled jerky. Who? Somebody help me, water. I want to drink water. Like a dead branch, he curled up on the ground, howling in pain. Here. Laughing restaurant. Suddenly quiet down, you can hear the drop of a needle. Jeppu frowned tightly, and there was a big wave in his heart. This ability. Uncle, do you know something? Luffy tilted his head, blocking his view. 7 warlords of the sea, Crocodile also has this ability. Zap explained. He sailed on the Grand Line for a year. As for the famous pirates, they naturally knew a lot about them. Known as the hero of Alabasta, the famous Shichibukai. It is the Logia sand fruit ability user. And the woman at the door actually has such ability? Sorry for wasting everyone's mealtime. Rodan smiled and didn't care about her actions. By the way, old Jeppu, I have been working as a handyman for free for 3 years, and the time is coming soon? So. I'm here to say goodbye to you. You bastard, stop talking nonsense, I will talk about something later. Jeppu frowned, and quickly pulled Rodan aside. There's a lot going on in the restaurant today, haven't you winked yet? This kid. Behind his back, he yelled to resign, and yelled for so long. Can you not know? But right now, there is a wave of unrest and another wave, it is not the time to talk about this at all. Well. Rodan choked. The one at the door is my subordinate, don't worry. Your brain burned out. The rude-looking Patty leaned closer and said, that's demon fruit power. It's up to you, believe it or not. Rodan shook his head. After you leave, don't tell me about the 3 years I worked in Barati. Lest they get into trouble. Say it. He ignored everyone and walked out of the restaurant. This guy is really not afraid of death. Patty's eyelids twitched. I'll catch him back. Zapu's braids trembled in anger, but for a second. The two of them froze in place, their expressions turned into deep consternation. I saw a mysterious and powerful woman at the door. He actually took the initiative to get out of the way and let his waiter go first. Not only that, and followed him out quickly. This. Patty turned his head stiffly. Chef, you are well informed, Rodan, is it true? Ghost knows. Zap put his long chef's hat on his head. There are too many strange facts today. It is estimated that Marine Admiral is coming, and it should be confused. It is no longer explained by knowledge and knowledge. But. Only one thing he knows, Rodan. I'm afraid it will take off in the future. Outboard. Crocodile followed silently. What do you want to say? Say it. With Rodan's knowledgeable look, he felt her mood swings. Didn't you say before that it's very common for women in this world to wear this style of socks? Crocodile, fists under fluffy cuffs, hold tightly. Even the fingernails sank deeply into the palm. Some redness. Why do these rubbish dare to make fun of my old lady? If it wasn't for Rodan's deliberate order, she will kill them all one by one, and no one in the restaurant will survive. After all, it's a place to eat, from now on. It's up to you. Rodan seemed to see what she was thinking, and shrugged. Besides, they are not laughing at you for wearing grid stockings. But I misunderstood you. It is a male crocodile. When you compare it, the contrast will naturally come out. Crocodile snorted coldly when he heard this. I'll take care of it myself. She doesn't allow it. There is a second self in the world, especially this self is still a man. Thinking of it gives me a chill. Where are we going? Speaking of which. Rodan paused and set his sights on the sea. At this time, not far from here, there happened to be 2 boats moored. A warship. A pirate ship. The latter. It's a skull with a straw hat. Rodan directly filtered out, pointing to the former. Did you see that warship? Hijack it, and we will officially set off for Logue Town. Logue Town is the place where One Piece was executed. Even if the reputation looks at the whole world. No, even on the Grand Line, it is extremely loud. If you sign in there, the rewards must be very rich. Hijack. Crocodile couldn't resist, so he could only rely on him. After embracing Rodan with his right hand, both feet turned into a ball of yellow sand and flew towards the warship. Your orange is too big, it hit me. Troublesome man. Crocodile seemed to be taking revenge. Not only did he not move, but he pressed down hard. Look at the way Rodan is suffocated. She feels inexplicably cool. On the warship, it's really slow for Captain Hopper T to have a meal. Hey, if you bring a female companion, that's enjoying life. It's not comparable to those of us low-level soldiers. The two Marines on duty were chatting. Suddenly, a gust of wind and sand crashed against their faces. The two of them were excited, fixed their eyes, and immediately raised their spears. It's demon fruit power. Stop. Pity. It's too late. I saw the sharp sand blade cutting across. Blood spurted from the waists of the two Marines, and they separated up and down, and fell to the deck. Rodan landed. Getting rid of the soft troubles, I took a deep breath of fresh air. Remember to leave Marine at the helm. Crocodile was silent. After kicking open the hatch, he walked straight in. Rodan put his gaze on the other side, the fish-shaped Barati. Then he looked back. Now, his personal ship is finally about to set sail. Although hijacked. Hey, Rodan, far away. There was a shout. Rodan frowned and saw Barati coming on, Sanji running from the back door. He held a stack of bags in one hand. Then he threw it upwards. Hold the deck with your hands. The feet spun at high speed like propellers. When the package lands, he borrowed the powerful inertia and kicked out with all his strength. Boom. Whoop, in an instant, it crossed 100 meters and flew to the warship with precision. And inside is Barry. Rough count, just in the early millions. In other words, it happened to be the wages that Rodan had accumulated over the past 3 years. His eyes flickered. Turn out to be. Have you been keeping it for him? And warships. It also drifted away from Barati. Hey, old man Zap asked me to bring you a sentence. Sanji leaned against the railing and said loudly, it's been an honor for you to work here for 3 years. Boom. There was a loud chestnut sound. A big bump appeared on Sanji's forehead instantly. Jeppu came angrily. You brat, when did I let you say that? It's just the truth. Don't worry, you will see my news soon. Rodan's voice also fell into the ears of the two of them. Obviously not very loud, but very clear. Because it is tailwind. The speed of the warship is getting faster and faster at this time. Not for a while. Then came across a foggy area. And in this area, against the wind came a pirate ship with a Black Panther-shaped bow. The hull is huge. It is more than 3 times bigger than a warship. Compare the two. It's like one is an adult and the other is a baby. But right now, the grown-up's appearance is extremely embarrassing. Several teeth were broken. It was as if he had just experienced a fierce battle. On the warship. That flag is. You can't be wrong, it's the overlord of East Blue, the Krieg pirates. Marine, who was at the helm, couldn't help shouting in horror. You guys are Marines, can you have some backbone? Rodan sat on the recliner, some speechless. The Marine soldiers kept swallowing. No, that's a big pirate group with 5,000 people. East Blue, the weakest sea area, can the distance be evened out by a large number of people? Crocodile smiled disdainfully, then spread the right hand. A group of rapidly rotating small gravel gathered in her palm. Soon, a mini tornado is formed, but over time, it got bigger and bigger. Shaw Lan. The voice fell. She threw out the sandstorm that had soared to a height of 1 meter. When approaching the Krieg pirate ship, it has already turned into 10 meters of sand, and its power is astonishing. Call. The wind and sand are like a broken bamboo. Just a blink. A big hole broke out in the huge hull, causing countless pieces of sawdust to fly up. Vaguely. You can also see a few pirates sucked into bamboo poles in the tornado. However, it has also been affected. Damn it, where did the tornado come from? Run. Run. Who the hell still has the energy to run? Dozens of hungry pirates stared wide-eyed and tried to struggle. But after all, I still can't lift my spirits. Howled twice. It was covered by the sound of wild sand. And Krieg, the boss of the ship, watched the unforeseen disaster. Not without a fight. He in gold and armor. He quickly found a metal helmet and put it on his head. The package was tightly packed, and I wanted to use this to escape the catastrophe. No, such a tornado will not come without warning in East Blue. He seems to have thought of something. On the warship, several Marines took a look at the jumbled giant ship blown by the tornado. He glanced back at Crocodile again. All over the body, he immediately swayed. All. Who are they? How could such a terrifying character appear in East Blue? And a woman who looks like 7 warlords of the sea. Really boring. Boring. It made Crocodile want to take out a cigar. This kind of low-level pirate. Let her lose the slightest desire to fight. Rodan crossed his legs. Glance at it and don't pay attention. Perhaps in the past, he would have paid much attention to such a huge pirate group. But now with her, then he has the capital to ignore the entire East Blue pirates. Don't be so impulsive next time. Go search for the berry on the boat first, isn't it more delicious? The two ships gradually approached, at a distance of nearly 10 meters. The storm on the Krieg pirate ship basically swept through. Boat. Already turned into pieces, but the sandstorm didn't stop, it was still going on. And brought a little splash. While the sand continued to fall off, it developed towards the waterspout. In order not to affect the warship, Crocodile used his ability to undo the tornado. So far, the turbulent sea was restored to calm. Only pieces of woody debris and some bits and pieces of floating debris remained. At this time, on a half-deck, helping a man in golden armor. Damn. Is Lousy the only one left? He was not happy for the rest of his life. Just full of anger. I thought I was sitting on a large fleet of 5,000 people, but now I have come to this point. Forget about the Grand Line. Why did they all fall like this after coming to East Blue? At this time, a shadow fell over Krieg. When he looked up and found that it was a warship, his face was filled with joy. It's not like a mouse is scared like a cat. Krieg struggled to his feet. After struggling to fish a hook rope from the water, he chose a corner position and threw it upwards. Bang. Jin Ming sounded. Got it. He pulled up the last bit of strength and climbed up with all his strength. Not for a while. He successfully boarded the ship and stepped on the deck. But because of excessive force, the stomach is too hungry. His body softened, kneeling directly on the ground. Hey, there's no need to perform such a big gift. It just so happened at this time. A man stood in front of him. Krieg's mouth twitched. However, he didn't get angry, but took advantage of the situation to grab his head and ears. Knocked a few times. Hi. Master Marine. Please give me something to eat. I haven't eaten in a long time. Marine? Rodan raised his eyebrows. Since you know it's Marine, why do you think you'll give food to pirates? I believe there are still good people, so please. The pleading Krieg was halfway through, then suddenly violent. Withdrawing the gun from his arms, he threw it at Rodan's figure. Die. But, the moment he raised his hand, before the fire snake flew out. Crack. The hand was broken off. Ah. Krieg screamed, breaking out in cold sweat, but as the East Blue overlord, he quickly calmed down and used his well-honed gun skills. On the occasion of a few tenths of a second, with his left hand he drew the gun. Sheesh. This time, it was finally launched. But the piercing sound of the in-ear sound did not come out. Only the healing sound of grit. Krieg startled in horror. When looking up again, I saw a figure as tall as a mountain, covering him. Black fur coat. Because of the sea breeze. It also scratched his face. This dress. Krieg's pale lips trembled. K. Crocodile? Then the ass softened. It seemed that he had lost his last bit of strength and fell on the deck. The first name of Shichibukai. Anyone who has been to the Grand Line doesn't know. But when she saw her long legs wrapped in grid stockings, his face trembled violently. Is it wrong? Crocodile. Why is it a woman? On Crocodile's white forehead, a blue vein appeared. What kind of eyes are you looking at? Just a pair of legs. What catches your eyes? Call. She stretched out one hand. Then he lifted the Krieg, which weighed hundreds of kilograms, out of thin air. My lord, don't kill me. Krieg, who had a strong desire to survive, hurriedly begged for mercy. It was just a slip of the hand just now, and I twisted the trigger on purpose, really. As long as you let me go, I will do whatever you want. Do you think we are fools? Rodan walked slowly from behind. Besides, what's the use of you increasing the burden? And Krieg doesn't have much water in his body. Also dries quickly. At the critical moment, he yelled, I have a piece of information. 7 warlords of the sea. Hawkeye, follow us to East. The voice did not fall, he became human. A thick golden armor seemed to be just a decoration, and it didn't play any role at all. Sorry, I know this information. Rodan glanced at it, but looked no further. In the original plot, Hawkeye followed the Krieg pirates to the sea restaurant. Then Zoro challenged him. Rodan put his hands in his pockets. Turn the rudder, take a long way out of this foggy area. Are you scared? Crocodile squeezed her hand. Squeeze Krieg's neck down to the size of a toothpick. Then, like throwing trash, it was thrown aside casually. Crocodile raised his head slightly, looking very confident. Since I'm here, you don't have to be afraid of that guy. In her parallel world, Hawkeye, fame is a bit. But after all, she is just a 17-year-old girl swordsman who just debuted. Not very loud. In her opinion, it's just someone with a little bit of talent. You? Rodan said. He is the #1 swordsman in the world now, it's not easy to abuse you. The #1 swordsman? Crocodile frowned slightly. It is clear. The system did not instill relevant content into her. Coincidentally, at this moment, a ship just sailed out of the fog. A boat in the shape of a coffin, and on both sides of the boat. There are also 2 candles burning with a faint green light. It's a bit spooky. On the boat, a man in a black windbreaker sat there. He wore a black top hat with white fluff. Erlang's legs were clearly crossed. However, there is no sign of sloppy behavior at all, but an aura of contempt for everything. It's him, right? Crocodile narrowed his eyes. She. There was indeed a sense of danger. But then, the corners of his mouth curled up. She dared to challenge even Whitebeard, and she was not afraid of any bullshit #1 swordsman. Your thoughts are dangerous. Rodan let out a breath. Hawkeye is here. If you change direction deliberately, it will be too obvious to go away. There is no need for that. But just because he doesn't want to cause trouble doesn't mean that others don't want to. Mihawk in the distance. As if he had noticed something, he raised his head slightly. In an instant, they collided with Crocodile's eyes. Don't look at him. Rodan stretched out his left hand and pressed Crocodile's shiny purple hair. Go down a little harder. In the case of weak strength, go to trouble again. That is to cause trouble for yourself. He didn't want to die before he left the school. Crocodile was aggrieved, but he didn't dare to make a move. After all, bad thoughts together will make your whole body sore. And Hawkeye on the coffin boat, there is no scruples. I saw him pull out the long crossknife from behind. Then he waved lightly in the air. A light blue flying slash shot out. Actually did it? Don't he know this is a warship? The first to panic, it was a few marine soldiers. Even if your eagle-eyed lord sees something, you still have to be cautious about being a hostage, and the safety of the workers. Unlucky. Rodan sighed and let her go. HMPH, man. Crocodile straightened his body again. She is conceited. But the most basic perception of danger, there are also. At the moment, I raised my spirits, desert sword. Crocodile turned Qianqin's slender arm into a lavender sandblade wrapped in the color of the weapon. But just used, she was a little surprised. Own hockey, it seems to have increased a lot. Thinking in mind, the movements of the hands are not slow at all. Sandblade threw it quickly. The moment Fei shot out, it became several times larger and cut towards Qingming. It's 100 meters away, 1 blue and 1 purple. Each cut through the waves. In the end, they collided with each other, and there was an astonishing exclamation. WH. Boom. Soon. Slash and sand. It turned into nothingness and disappeared in the air. These socks actually raised my hockey level? Crocodile pursed her red lips. He looked down at the chilly grid socks. I don't know what to say. Incomprehensible. Captain, can I still lie to you? Rodan said. After she shot. On Crocodile's profile, because of the grid socks equipment. It has been raised from 2.5 stars to 3 stars. Then, the process of challenging Whitebeard is interrupted. Crocodile said. Let's use this guy to make up for it first. Talking. She is curly. He galloped forward. Rodan didn't stop. After all, fighting is inevitable. He also has some expectations in his heart. To what extent will Samsung's efforts reach? Just sit on a chair. Then he cut out a Mihawk flying and slashing. I was a little surprised in my heart. His eyes that were as sharp as an eagle's were also rippled. See Crocodile coming at a gallop. He didn't think about it anymore, got up and jumped into the sky, and slashed at him with a knife. Call out. The two people are intertwined. Mihawk landed on a splintered plank. Crocodile, on the other hand, froze in midair. The waist is split. But in the blink of an eye, the wind and sand swept past and healed back. She became excited. What a fast knife. Logia sand fruit. Mihawk turned and looked directly at the sky, His voice was flat. Woman, what's your name? It stands to reason. It is absolutely impossible for two identical fruits to appear in the world. Only the previous one died, in order to randomly respawn in a certain place. Be inherited by others. Could it be? Sand crocodiles have been. But this inheritance is too thorough, right? Even the style of clothes is the same? My mother is Crocodile. Crocodile moved and launched an offensive again. Hoo. There was a wild rustle. She descends at breakneck speed. A turntable-shaped solidified gravel ruthlessly tore toward Hawkeye's body. Desert great sword. Clatter. Hawkeye raised the knife slightly. She easily cut through her fierce blow, but did not put it on the battle, if this one is called Crocodile. The one from Alabasta. What is it called again? You are really strong. Crocodile showed a bloody smile. As a man, they can actually cultivate to such an extent. In her world, but very few, accept it. Crocodile's attack fell like a violent storm. Mihawk. Then he took it unhurriedly, within hundreds of meters around. Under the attack of the two, immediately, towering walls of water rolled up. You have too many flaws. Mihawk shook his head. Haki isn't very skillful either. However, you are a girl. With such speed and strength, even if you look at the entire Grand Line, it is rare. He seemed to be giving compliments. Old lady, do I need your pity from a man? Crocodile gritted his teeth. Desert. Vajra saber. Hawkeye closed his eyes. Next second, the sharp sword energy scattered in all directions. Shesh. Hawkeye's black sword Yoruichi swipes. A splash of blood spattered out. Crocodile's pupils froze and floated onto a deck. Get down on one knee. The left hand is covering the abdomen, and the right hand is supporting the deck. His face was full of disbelief. Her strongest blow. Disintegrated. The whole process. Don't look at the simple actions of the two of them. But in fact it is dangerous. Crocodile dared to say that even a blow to the abdomen could be exchanged for a piece of steel. It will still be easily scratched like tofu, even. Directly into two halves. Impossible, I won't lose. Crocodile made a gesture, but just move. A sharp long knife was pressed against her body. I'm not very interested in killing a woman. Hawkeye lowered his eyebrows slightly, talking. He put away the black knife knight, Crocodile looked a little ashamed and angry. She actually. Belittled by a man. What a disgrace. You. Okay, old Shaw. Rodin's voice sounded. At this time the warship. He also came to the two of them. This is my subordinate. If there is any offense, please bear with me. Rodan smiled. Then he jumped down. Crocodile tightened his coat. An elementalization flew back to his side. You said, he is your subordinate. Hawkeye was rather puzzled. Rodin's first reaction to him, it's bland. But to have such a strong and young subordinate. It will certainly not be easy. Hawkeye shook his head. Actually, I'm not very interested in people other than swordsmen. This time he shot, it was just out of interest. I looked from afar before. Obviously a woman. But it gave him a feeling of invincibility. He would love to see what kind of person it is. Never thought about it. For a while, it's a bit unbelievable, whether it's style or clothing. Or the devil fruit ability. Both are so similar to Crocodile. No, it can be said to be a replica. He suddenly thought of a person. Shemale King, Ivankov, but it shouldn't either. This Crocodile doesn't act like the Alabasta one. Hawkeye couldn't hold back his curiosity. What's the relationship between her and Crocodile? He is my old lady. Crocodile covered his stomach and spoke first. You can shut up now. Rodan interrupted her. It's okay. If found out, he can extract the sissy images of all the strong men in the sea. Isn't this shit chasing him one by one? What a fart. At least until the wings are full, it can't be revealed easily. Certainly. As long as he didn't say such an unbelievable thing, no one would guess it. It doesn't matter. Hawkeye repeated it interrogatively. The reason why he is called Hawkeye, it is the ability to see the essence of things. But, at this moment, he couldn't maintain a calm look. After all, whoever encounters such a strange thing. I can't hold back, but then again. If it were the sand crocodile himself. Much more pleasing to the eye than the one in Alabasta. In addition, Hawkeye had a premonition. This sea that has been silent for a long time is likely to boil again. This girl has an unyielding spirit. Hawkeye said indifferently. I'm looking forward to how far she can go next. Talking. He nodded to Rodan. Afterwards, he leapt forward, covered a distance of nearly 100 meters, and jumped back onto his coffin boat. The power to come and go. It is exactly what everyone in this sea pursues. And Hawkeye just sat down. He hesitated for a while. Then he took out a phone bug hidden under the seat. A private number was dialed. Hawkeye? I didn't expect someone like you to think of calling me. Looks like it's not dead yet. Mihawk pondered for a moment and asked, San Crocodile, do you have a younger sister with the same fruit ability? The man on the other end heard the words. There was silence. It seemed that he was confirming that the person who called him was the famous #1 swordsman. To ask such a question? What are you saying? Half an hour. The other side replied. I just fought another you, but she's a woman. Hawkeye was outspoken. But it's over. Only then did I feel something was wrong. Yes or no, are you speaking directly? Just when he was about to say something, a voice came from the other side. I know you can't joke, so. Are you kidding, lousy? Sorry, not in the mood right now. Finished speaking. The anthropomorphic phone bug fell silent again. Was forced to hang up. The eagle-eyed face remained calm. I don't know what to think about. On the warship. The wound caused by Hawkeye is quite deep. Rodan patiently cleaned Crocodile's wound. Certainly, if it were a man, he was too lazy to bother. On the other hand, it is with the mind of research. Look at the wound caused by the first sword Howdwo, what is the difference? The latter said nothing. It seems that this kind of thing is what men should do. At this time, she clenched her fists. I haven't played Whitebeard yet. She actually lost first to a swordsman she had never been optimistic about. And what else to say? Looking forward to becoming stronger in the future. This forced. It's really okay to pretend. Am I weak? You are only 20 years old, what are you afraid of? Rodan didn't care. It's not that she is weak. But Hawkeye is too strong. It would be nice to hang out with him for a while. And this experience. It made Rodan more and more eager to summon a powerful combat force to help out. Crocodile belongs to the growth type. Powerful. But not enough. By the way, don't think about ancient weapon, that thing. I can't wait. Rodan gave a special warning. And Crocodile, who had just thought of it. The corners of his eyes trembled suddenly. I wonder if the man in front of me can eavesdrop on my heart. After Rodan was bandaged. According to the usual plan, he began to exercise himself. Strike iron. You still need to be tough. Under the alternation of day and night. In a blink. 6 days passed. Logue Town. Also getting closer. When passing by the island where Kokoyashi village is located. Rodan signed in once. But. Maybe it's because of the lack of fame. The drawn stuff is a bit tricky. It's a piece of chewing gum. Effect. It can keep the mouth fresh for a long time and treat various dental diseases. This reward. It has nothing to do with improving strength. This cut off Rodan's heart once again, and the hearts of the various islands of East Blue. Instead of wasting time, it's better to sign in on a more powerful island. In addition, during these 6 days, after no more trivia to bother you, Rodan has been exercising intensely every day, along with Crocodile. The latter said nothing. Since that defeat, it may have been affected. He also practiced hard with his head covered. But because the space is too small, when the two of you are exercising together, it's a bit inconvenient. What's wrong with my mother taking off her clothes? Crocodile, smoking a cigar, was very displeased. She at this time. The sweat-soaked tights accentuated her proud figure. Let a marine not far away. They were all dumbfounded. Until a cold look from Rodan. Only then did he react, and he quickly focused on his work. Rodan continued to do one-finger handstands. It's normal in your world, but not in mine. And his upper body muscles are fully exposed. The women here are really troublesome. Seeing this, Crocodile stared straight at his muscles. He turned his head nonchalantly. He licked his red lips, his face was slightly hot. Such a blatantly taking advantage of men. That is to say, this godlike world can be enjoyed. In her. If a woman dares to look at a man's upper body. But he will be called a hooligan and beaten severely. At least don't take it off outside the cabin. Rodan coughed. There is a marine outside, but there is no scruples inside. Anyway. Now there is only one marine left on the warship. Others. But because he was really dishonest, he always looked for opportunities to escape, or tried to call for help. All cleaned up. My lords, Logue Town is coming. Logue Town. As the last stop on the Grand Line. The flow of people can be described as full. Among them, there are many pirates. But because the colonel known as the White Hunter guarded it. Law and order in Logue Town has always been good. Pirates are also very low-key, almost no one dares to cause trouble. At this time, in port, a tall marine stationed suddenly shouted. There are warships in the distance. What, we didn't receive notice in advance. A few meters away. Marine in the sentry was puzzled, and took out a telescope to observe. It doesn't matter if you don't look at it. One look. He became excited. It's the lost warship. Lost warship. Have you seen it clearly? That's right. There's still a mark left on it. Quick, contact Colonel Smoker. It's probably hijacked by pirates. Good. The tall Marine took out the phone bug. But if it's really a pirate, it's really brave, and dare to come to us after robbing the ship. Who knows, maybe there is no supply, you hurry up. The warship that Rodan was on was already less than 100 meters away. Sailed for about a week. There was indeed a gap in supplies. After all, the stronger the strength, if it consumes a lot. Food intake will be very scary, at this time. Rodan wiped off his sweat, put his hands on the railing, and felt the sea breeze. Ding. The random call has been cooled down. Do you want to draw it immediately? The mechanical sound of the system sounded. Rodan froze for a moment. Immediately a smile appeared. After knocking out the only remaining Marine, Shinshia responded immediately. Extract. Randomly drawing a sissy character. Congratulations on getting the great swordsman, eagle-eyed Mihawk. Do you want to call now? Wait, who? Mihawk. Rodan was a little confused. Is this a coincidence? I just met a week ago, and now I got him a sissy version? System. Call up her personal information. Good host. Nickname. Hawkeye, 7 Warlords of the Sea. Age 29 years old, strength, 3.5 stars, will break through to 4 stars. Origin Parallel World 12 experience in her childhood, she practiced swordsmanship desperately in pursuit of beauty. Because in her thoughts, it is believed that the more advanced the swordsmanship is, the more beautiful the figure and appearance of a woman will be. Thus, the goal is to be the most beautiful in the world. When she was young, she traveled around to practice swordsmanship, and once had a fierce confrontation with the red hair. The battle between the two was evaluated by Whitebeard as a wonderful battle, just like yesterday. She is heroic and valiant, and her swordsmanship has reached the pinnacle. When genius, beauty, and hard work come together, it will bloom unimaginable brilliance, at the age of 29. Even in the field of swordsmanship, he defeated Red Hair in one fell swoop, faintly occupying the throne of the #1 swordsman. There are still 7 days left before the next drawing. Please wait patiently for the host. After reading the introduction, Rodan felt excited. The eagle eye of that world actually defeated the red-haired Shanks? One of the future 4 emperors. Even if it is simply a confrontation in swordsmanship, it is very powerful. And at the end, it was introduced that he faintly occupied the #1 swordsman. Just don't know. This first. Compared to this world. Whichever has higher gold content is stronger. However, judging from the number of stars, only half a star above Crocodile in grid stockings. Prompt that it will be upgraded to 4 stars soon. But because I don't understand the gap between half stars. He is not good at making references, it still depends on actual combat. A year so far. Rodan couldn't wait. Summon now. Please wait. Reminder. Because there was a slight flaw in the last character summoning, I am very sorry. This time I will specially patch it for you. Patch? Before Rodan could ask questions, a space vortex opened in response. No one has arrived. The fragrant wind hit early. This made his heart twitch a little. Soon, a woman in the same attire as Hawkeye in this world walked forward. Her looks, exactly as the introduction said. And it's glamorous. Comb beautiful long hair. With exquisite earrings. The powder eyebrows are also very delicate. Face shape. It is very in line with the public aesthetics. Captain Rodan. Mihawk, carrying the cross, long sword, knelt on the deck with one knee. 3,000 blue threads fluttered down. It makes people feel very beautiful, like a newly released picture scroll. So respectful? Rodan was slightly surprised. Is this what is called a patch? Right. This is complete allegiance. Hawkeye. When Crocodile came, his cigar almost dropped to the ground. Oh, Sand Crocodile? Mihawk looked sideways slightly. Old Shaw, look at him. Rodan took out the cigar in her mouth and said, this is what you should be like. No. Like her, it's not me. Crocodile's face suddenly changed. Wait, you mean Hawkeye became your crew member? That's right, Mihawk will be one of us from now on. Rodan looked at Crocodile. Also, why is it not you? The memory is well preserved, just loyal to me. But it seems to be okay to leave one in front of him with a very different personality. Alright. In fact, the system prompts that the previous patch cannot be installed. Crocodile glanced over. It is an honor to serve Captain Rodan. Mihawk smiled. Get up, how can you make a lady kneel on the ground? Rodan quickly gave her a hand. on Bharati. Jeppu often instilled in Sanji the spirit of chivalry towards women. It made him a little confused. The voice just fell. Rodan's eyes. Suddenly, something white and colorful shook. Hit him in the face. Speaking up. The eagle eye in the original world, the wine-red windbreaker, is open. Showing pecs and abs. And the girlish version of Hawkeye in front of her. Cough cough. Also an open woman. Rodan swallowed, and forcibly moved his eyes away. There are clean clothes in the cabin, you can wear another one inside. So go out. I'm afraid it will immediately attract a wave of careerist eyes. But I'm used to it. Besides, it's so beautiful. Mihawk flicked her long hair and didn't think there was anything wrong. It's normal in her world, it feels like nothing. But of course I will obey the captain's order. She smiled again. Go to the cabin. Rodan breathed a sigh of relief. That sentence at the beginning. Let him think it is another disobedient crew member. The warship docks. Simply furl the sails and drop anchor. And below. Dozens of marine soldiers with guns have long been waiting here. At this time. A knife across the waist, wearing red-rimmed glasses. A woman with her clothes tightly covered ran hurriedly from behind. Seeing this, the leading marine greeted her. Sergeant Tashigi, isn't Colonel Smoker here? Well, he still has something to do. Tashigi nodded seriously, but I'll be here soon. Talking. She drew out her famous knife, Xiaoyi Shiyu. Aligned above. And the warship that docked. Also released a long springboard. Only 3 people walked out of the plank that usually allowed a whole team of marines to disembark. 2 women. Middle. Then there is a man. Seeing this, all the marines held their breath. Stop. Tashigi with the knife yelled. For the rest of the marines, the guns in their hands also clicked. But the 3 of them didn't seem to hear it. Still did not stop. The atmosphere is getting more and more solidified, and it seems that it will explode at any time. Hey, I heard that there are pirates coming. That's too courageous to come to our Logue town. Go and see. At this time, several people who joined in the fun boldly gathered around. Why are there only 3 people? Hey, those 2 chicks don't look bad. PFF'd. Look at the one on the right. A woman is actually carrying such a big knife. Do you think she can swing it? Someone suddenly laughed. But because of the distance. Nor did they worry about being heard. But Mihawk seemed to notice something, and a pair of sharp beautiful eyes glanced over. Plop. Plop plop. One person rolled his eyes and fell down one after another. It was like being hit by an irresistible shock. Just kidding. A strong man looked around. Cold sweat flowed from his forehead, and he felt a huge murderous aura sweeping over him. Soon. He sat down on the ground, his lower body trembling and dripping water. This scene did not attract the attention of the marines. They are staring intently ahead. In a semicircle, the 3 people are tightly wrapped. The hijacker. Tashigi took a few steps forward. If you don't stop, we will arrest you. In her mind. I was a little surprised by the way one of the 3 was dressed. But seeing her face clearly. After she was a slender and glamorous woman, she was relieved. Really? Isn't it him? Soon. The 3 of them were less than 6 meters away from Tashigi. Just when the crowd was ready to shoot, what a courageous little girl. Mihawk suddenly said, you should know what it symbolizes when you throw a knife at me. Hey, what? Tashigi was a little confused. Don't you know who I am? Who are you? Tashigi tightened the handle of the knife. Mr. Hawkeye's imitator? She also admires the world's #1 swordsman. Aim for it. But, far from reaching the point of the woman in front of him. Frenzied too. Even the costumes are exactly the same. Imitator. Mihawk shook his head. He took off the small cross knife hanging around his neck. That silent expression seems to be saying, feel sorry. There is no smaller knife than this one. Hateful. Tashigi saw her slighted. Both are women. It was the first time she met such an arrogant person. Small. Knife? She wants to use this thing against us? Is this woman crazy? The marine's original serious expressions changed. Almost laughed out loud. Back and forth. What a stark contrast. Haha, pirate. Are you up for a challenge? Sergeant Tashigi is the strongest female swordsman in our branch. They are all waiting to see the good show. Certainly. Nor would they despise the 3 of them too much. Anyway. No matter what method is used to snatch this small warship. There are more or less 2 brushes. The leader marine asked softly, do you want to shoot? 3 people. Among them were 2 girls. Speak the truth. He didn't feel that necessary. Our first priority is arrests. After Tashigi responded. The body moves. He rushed out first. This guy who speaks wild words, I will defeat him first. Shesh. Clang. The light of the knife flashed quickly. Mihawk just swung at random. He knocked Tashigi back 3 meters away, and his feet still rubbed a shoe print on the stone floor. This power. Tashigi was horrified. My heart is hard. She raised her strength again, and slashed down at a tricky angle. But without exception. Each time, he was easily knocked back several meters. On the other hand, Mihawk, from beginning to end. He didn't even move his footsteps. Are women in this world so weak? Mihawk shook his head slightly. Now. The Marine soldiers who let down their guard a little earlier. Lifted them all up again. All of them rolled their eyes. Tashigi's swordsmanship strength, they have all competed. Don't talk about women. Even their men are not a single enemy. And right now. Actually with a small knife. This knife. If replaced by them, it is estimated that it can be used as a fork at most. I will definitely kill you, undefeated Tashigi. Firm faith. I plan to unleash my strongest blow. Mihawk suddenly asked. What is your goal? Take all these famous knives that were taken away by the villains. Tashigi fell silent and concentrated. Mihawk glanced at his knife, then smiled slightly, a ridiculous target. Cut Shiyu. Tashigi no nonsense, 1 step. The blade turned. It cut through the air and fell hard in a crescent arc. Crack. There was a broken sound, and the knife accompanied her along the way. That's it. Very ridiculous. It was actually broken by an unknown knife. This moment. Tashigi's heart also shattered. In the eyes, it is also full of unbelievable. Boom. She fell to the ground. Quick, shoot. The leader Marine's scalp tingled for a while, and he quickly gave an order. The rest of the Marine soldiers froze for a second before reacting. For a while, intensive gunfire burst out. It's really fearless. A cold light flashed in Mihawk's eyes. The knife is simply a wave. All the bullets that were most aimed at her were fired back in the opposite direction. Pause time. The Marines fell like harvested wheat. Only then did they know. The woman in front of me. Far from being able to deal with them, even more frightening. Only one person has been shot so far. Call. At this time, a burst of thick smoke rushed over in time. Covered One Piece. Master Colonel. Great, it's Colonel Smoker. Someone exclaimed. And the voice fell. A silver-haired man with a fluffy coat on his back came out of the smoke. On his mouth. Holding 2 cigars on the left and right, he looks full of style. HMPH, are you late? He drew the 10 hands, topped with sea stone. Not late. The Marines seem to have seen a savior. The eyes light up. Calm down from the panic. Change me. Crocodile passed Mihawk. Press the right hand. Then it turned into a huge sand blade, immediately afterwards. Smoke and sand are intertwined. Launched a fierce offensive. How come? He is also a Logia ability user like the Colonel. What are you afraid of? Colonel Smoker won't. A Marine shook his face. I can't wait to shake my ear. I saw the sand and mist blowing away. Smoker was trampled on the ground by the woman with purple back hair. Hockey. The blood in Smoker's chest surged. Who are you, and why are you so similar to Shichibukai-san Crocodile's ability? He hadn't been this weak for a long time, and he was defeated by a woman who looked younger than himself. If this is passed on to acquaintances in the headquarters. Smoker clenched his fists. Logue town today. What kind of monster has ushered in? How could such a strong player appear in East Blue? No, not one. There are 2 other people. I have heard words like yours countless times. The corner of Crocodile's mouth twitched. It's really annoying. It seems. Only get rid of alabastas. Only in this way can we really avoid the annoying scene of being constantly asked questions. Sand dungeon. The voice fell. Clouds of wind and sand gushed out of its body. All the surrounding Marines just feel dry and unbearable. Soon. It was completely sucked dry. He fell to the ground and completely lost his ability to move. Damn it. Smoker, who cannot be elementalized, wants to do it. But his is also within the absorption range. Can't do anything at all. Is it Logia, giving you the illusion of invincibility? Rodan passed by Smoker and said lightly, Crocodile strength. Definitely not inferior to Alabasta's Sand Crocodile. Especially with the grid socks, after increasing hockey. The outcome is still unknown. Little Crocodile, just stay here and guard, and kill anyone who makes trouble. Mihawk, who followed closely, said, Asshole, are you ordering my old lady? Crocodile almost frowned. Over and over again. She looked at Mihawk and became more and more upset. The male Hawkeye from before, even with the cups. This one is also so arrogant. Do you really think she is a sick crocodile? Can you bully at will? Crocodile straightened up. Rodan. Flick and flick. Looking down, Smoker's lips grow thirsty. Is this thing so beautiful? Crocodile keenly noticed the eyes below. It's just fat. The men here are truly indescribable. Thinking. She stomped on Smoker's rough face. You. The cigars tumbled. Smoker's face was in pain, and his nose was bleeding. How innocent the first feel. Okay, watch them here. If you get in the way, kill them all. Rodan said. Then go to the crowded port. He came to Logue town for two purposes, one as supply. The second is to sign in. The latter has not been prompted to sign. It is estimated that certain conditions are not met. And the former also has to speed up. After a long time, there will definitely be fish that slip through the net. A report call. In case marine support is attracted. Especially Garp. This timeline. It should be discovered during the escort back to the axe god, Monka. That's where it gets a little tricky. The two walked away. Really let the old lady watch. Crocodile was physically unable to resist the order. I had no choice but to go along. But warships do need people to guard them. Seeing his colleagues all collapsed, Tashigi stood up tenaciously. Pick up a normal machete. Run to Crocodile. Justice never loses. Call out. She chopped off a pile of sand. That guy Rodan. Tell me to keep your hands on women, but I'm a woman too. Crocodile smiled strangely, reached out and pinched her neck. There is no need to show mercy to you. At this time, the noise interrupted her. Not the annoying Marine, but a group of hideous pirates in the distance. Look, Marine was actually defeated. Ha ha ha, I didn't expect them to have this time. Hurry up, take advantage of the opportunity to plunder. They drew out the sharp long knives hidden in the dark one after another, gearing up to make a move. Seeing this, Tashigi, who was almost out of breath, struggled and said, Ahem. It's all you, let them do whatever they want. Crocodile snorted coldly when he heard this. The weaker the character, the more he will blame others. Rodan and Mihawk walked on the street. Groups of children happily play past. Boom. One of them didn't pay attention, and the ice cream hit Mihawk's pant leg. Make a mess. I'm sorry big sister, the kid apologized politely. But after seeing her sharp eagle eyes, he opened his mouth in a daze, and collapsed to the ground. Pretending to cry. Well. Mihawk looked back and walked forward quickly. Kids are something. No matter where it is so troublesome. Seeing this, Rodan suddenly had a curious thought. In your world, do you give birth to a man or a woman? Of course we women. Mihawk smiled and said, do you guys have that function? Then you guys are really tired. Rodan coughed. Women are not only outside to fight, inside. And have a baby. If all the pirates in the sissy world are women. Those men, it seems that the little days are very good. At this moment, the system prompt sounded suddenly. Ding, fame detected. Is the host checking in at Logue town? Sign in. Rodan beamed, and immediately responded. Ding. Congratulations to host for successfully signing in at Logue town, and getting a Shueba Fachi, a paramecia, transparent fruit, and a space storage ring. It is indeed the place where One Piece Roger was executed. Signed out a full 3 items, it was a stroke of luck. Rodan's heart skipped a beat. When I signed in Barati before, I was rewarded with a pair of socks. This time it was too good. It's just. The rewards are a little sleazy. Shueba Fachi. What's the matter? Rodan thought. System, call out the introduction. Shueba Fachi. Wine red silk version, not only can automatically adjust the size and comfort, but also improve the wearer's cultivation progress to a certain extent. Transparent fruit. The devil fruit produced by Sign-In is an optimized version. Eliminates the side effect of being cursed by seawater. Note. There is no limit for one person to eat. Space storage ring. Keep fresh, can store dead objects. The space range is the size of a Logue town. The system cannot store items for a long time. Do you want to take them out immediately? Wait. Rodan regained his composure, held back the excitement in his heart and said, Little Eagle. That's all. Follow me. Say it. He walked towards a clothing store. Kitty Hawk. Mihawk was taken aback. What's the name? Captain Age. It should be smaller than yourself. In a blink of an eye. Inside the store. When a young lady saw a guest coming in, she showed a professional smile. Welcome. Xiaoying, you choose a pair of pants. Rodan glanced at her wet pants with ice cream, and said with a smile, I didn't bring anything with me when I came to this world, so you can pick out the others. Mihawk nodded lightly, but when she saw a crowd of colorful ladies' clothes. Eyelids trembled imperceptibly. Clothes here. In her world, it is all worn by men. Let her choose. It's a bit difficult to be true. But. After all, it was the captain's order, so she had no choice but to bite the bullet and choose. Soon. After choosing a few wide ones, he walked into the changing room. Seeing this, Rodan also followed. Hey, sir, that's a single room for ladies only. The clerk quickly stopped him. Rodan was slightly taken aback, and almost forgot about this. He is here. In fact, I wanted to give her the fat time. After all, wine red silk. Even if it can speed up the progress of cultivation. I can't even wear it myself, it's too shameful. At present, only Mihawk is the most suitable one. She is about to break through, so she must be in great need. It's okay. Let's go together, Captain. Mihawk didn't care at all. Together. The shop assistant's face was slightly red. But the hostess agreed. She couldn't say anything either. Rodan coughed and followed Mihawk into the changing room. One enters. He took out 3 things from the system space. Do you know what it is? Devil fruit, rings, and last same. Mihawk was a little speechless. Don't worry, it's yours. Rodan smiled. First put on the storage ring on the ring finger and successfully bind it. And then handed her the patterned fat times. This. Mihawk swallowed. Who would wear such a manly thing? She couldn't take it. The captain's order, do you want to resist? Rodan got serious. Mihawk gritted her teeth, unbuttoned her pants with difficulty, and was about to change. Rodan turned his head away. He understands how she feels. This is as embarrassing as making men wear fat times. And it has a bow tie. But Hawkeye is female. It's normal in this world. Think like this. He silently ate the transparent fruit, feeling the power contained in it. His own strength is not strong, it is the one that needs improvement the most. If the transparent fruit ability is well developed, it will not be much worse as a support. Refer to the knife that Shiryu of the Rain slashed Moria. If the fruit was so useless, Blackbeard wouldn't let him eat it. Developed to the top. Maybe it can reach the realm of true transparency. And it has no side effects, Rodan thought. Both hands and feet disappeared into the air, as if they didn't exist. Immediately afterwards, the whole person disappeared. Mihawk pursed her red lips. There was no sign of timidity. Still taking care of himself, that is. It's too embarrassing to change this style for the first time. Aren't you afraid of me peeping? Rodan's voice sounded. What's so interesting about this? Mihawk exhaled like blue, then shrugged. But say it. She remembered the difference in this world, and covered it up a little. For her who pursues beauty, nature understands hazy beauty. It is really beautiful. So, Captain, do you feel it? Rodan. With an empathetic female crew. Very nice. After a while of pounding. After purchasing basic supplies again. Rodan and Mihawk also gradually became acquainted. Outside the port. In addition to the fallen marine. There are also some pirates who come to make trouble. Tashigi, on the other hand, was tied aside, hungry and thirsty. Same goes for Skinny Smoker. Swallowing his dry throat extremely unbearably, life is truly worse than death. Crocodile found a stone and sat on the side with his legs crossed. Have any cigars? What cigars do you, a woman, smoke? Smoker struggled to tighten the cigar hidden in his clothes. He feels more and more. The woman in front of her didn't look like a woman at all. More like. Crocodile frowned slightly, and his right hand turned into a ball of gravel. Just planned to kill him. Men actually look down on women. What a joke. Mr. Smoker, look over there. Tashigi suddenly yelled. Smoker and Crocodile's eyes moved. Saw a coffin boat coming to Logue town, sitting on it. It's Mihawk. After docking, he jumped lightly and tied the boat with a rope. Then he walked towards the harbor. Why such a coincidence? Crocodile felt a little unlucky, but think about it. I feel a little interesting again. After all, there is also a Hawkeye in the town. Mr. Hawkeye. Tashigi shouted, I have something important to tell you. Shut up, Tashigi. Smoker glared at her. He thinks Tashigi wants to ask for help, so scold. After all, Shichibukai are pirates, and they will only obey the orders of the world government. Certain wayward Shichibukai. He doesn't even respond to the government's words, and usually doesn't fart when he meets Marine. If the two don't break out in conflict, it's really not bad. What's the matter? Mihawk paused. He glanced at Crocodile, and a group of Marines who fell to the ground skinny as if they had taken drugs. Understand what? But he doesn't want to help Marine. Own. Just came for a meal. Seeing the world's #1 swordsman, Tashigi paid attention to himself. Very excited at this time. If the opportunity is used well, it might be impossible to save yourself. That's Mr. Hawkeye. Tashigi sorted out his words, but unexpectedly his glasses tilted. Being highly myopic, her vision instantly blurred. But it doesn't matter. Words can still be said. The group of pirates who hijacked the warship, one of them is dressed exactly like you, and his sword skills are extremely superb, he even threatened to challenge you. Tashigi rarely lies, but this time it was an accident. For pirates, there is no need to talk about credibility. In addition, there are rumors among swordsmen. Although Hawkeye occupies the first place, he never refuses anyone's challenge. That's why she dared to say that. Try to stir up a war between the two of you. Exactly the same? Mihawk heard this juncture. Just a little bit of interest. It was Crocodile before, is it him now? Etc. I changed to myself. Mihawk's face drooped. Yes, Mr. Hawkeye, from the scabbard analysis, that is also carrying the chaotic blade heavy flower tea, like you, but I'm not sure if it's a famous sword. Tashigi continued, she is highly myopic. He didn't realize that there was something wrong with Hawkeye's expression. At this time, Mihawk quickened his pace and walked into Logue town. So Mr. Hawkeye. Tashigi said a few more words. He left already. See your subordinates talking to the distant air. Smoker was speechless. But, in my heart, I silently gave Si-Chi a thumbs up. Subordinates are sometimes a little witty, not always so stupid. Crocodile said nothing, but kicked Smoker again. The strength is great, it broke a few of its teeth. Look, that's Hawkeye. Oh, the #1 swordsman in the world, my idol. I'm your fan. A group of muscular men with knives rushed out of the densely packed town. Mihawk, who had just stepped in, turned around and walked back after seeing this. Change to the past. He can solve it with a leap. Go wherever you want. But now I want to find someone. There are tens of thousands of people in a Logue town. Not very easy to find. Why are you back again? Smoker spat out his broken teeth. The corners of his mouth twitched slightly. But when he saw a group of fanatical big men in the distance, I understood instantly. It's just hard to imagine that there are so many pirates hiding in the town. It seems that the blow is not strong enough. Mihawk found a bench and sat down calmly. Running people. Somewhat mixed. There are those who draw knives, and those with hideous faces. I don't know whether it is worship or challenge. But the only thing that remains consistent is, when they approached Hawkeye for nearly 100 meters, the footsteps would stagger, and one after another fainted on the ground. Conquerors? Crocodile was a little puzzled. But understand carefully, it doesn't feel like it again. As expected of Mr. Hawkeye. Tashigi, who put on glasses, looked like a little girl, and was even more amazed. This is the goal that swordsmen pursue all their lives. You can clean up a bunch of people even if you don't use your hands. But choose to wait. It can make the great swordsman put down his body and wait in person. It really is unusual. Tashigi tied his hands behind his back. Quietly pick up Smoker's broken tooth. Patience wears off. Inside Logue town, there are more and more people who want to see the true face of Eagle Eye. But those who suffered were all stuck 100 meters away, noisily watching. Some reporters even took out their cameras and recorded the scene. There are also some hidden ones. Seeing this, he turned and left, and then took out the phone bug. Crocodile within 100 meters. Feel a little bad. Stretch out your right hand. A cloud of sandstorm quickly gathered in his hand. She's going to kill these people. There are many people. There are also many uncertainties. If you get into any trouble because of this, you won't be able to leave if you want to leave later. At this moment of tension, sit on a bench. Mihawk facing the sea, with action, he stood up. Look in the direction of Crocodile, but it wasn't her. But behind it, under the triangular archway of the port, then came two people head-on. Even in the crowd, they still couldn't hide the aura exuding from them. Hey, brother, don't go there, you won't be able to bear it. Let him go. I guess he is another one who is not afraid of death. What's the matter with this woman? She's wearing the same clothes as Master Hawkeye. It's okay to have fun in private, but it's still like this in person. Hawkeye has passed. I guess it's to clean her up. The breathing of some people in Logue town suddenly became tight. Full of energy to eat melons, and the two sides are also getting closer, and soon they are less than 10 meters away. What a coincidence, Mr. Mihawk. When Rodan faced Hawkeye again, the nervousness he felt the first time was completely gone. Speaking up, he didn't expect to see Hawkeye again so soon. And this time, it's different from last time. He has a powerful helper. Mihawk glanced lightly at the woman next to Rodan. Then pretended not to care. Eyes turned to Rodan. You gave me a surprise. When he saw the image of a woman in the sand crocodile, Earlier, he found it quite interesting. Especially through the phone bug, kindly inform. Unexpectedly, he was so angry, as if he had touched Nilin. But now it was him. Whether it is height, clothing, momentum. Even these unique eyes, without exception. I can't find any faults, the beautified face is like my own sister. Only then did he understand a little bit, such a feeling. Very upset. I want this woman to disappear from sight immediately. Mihawk squinted slightly. Are you trying to build a Shichibukai team? This man. I'm afraid it all comes from him. Captain, is it something you can look directly at? Mihoko's slim figure moved, blocked Hawkeye's dangerous eyes. This charming voice. Like, it's the same as what I sent out. Listening, Mihawk's scalp tingled for a while. He is not hesitating. Pulled out a slender dark black long knife from behind. Aim forward. Far away. This is the 12 crafts of the supreme big block knife. Tashigi suddenly opened his eyes wide, and excitedly said, Hidao, ye. The strongest knife. With the strongest person. As a sword idiot. It just made her so excited that she couldn't be more excited. Master Hawkeye made a move. Still take the initiative to attack, it's too rare. This woman is finished. The crowd is getting denser. No matter where. Everyone likes to join in the fun. The body of Hideaway's sword is dark and bright, and there is an invisible murderous aura permeating it. Listen to Marine. You want to challenge me? Then accept your challenge now. Challenge you? In the past, only others challenged me. Mihoko folded her arms around her chest. Then he leaned close to Roden's ear and said softly, Captain, leave it to me. This is the first battle she's been called to. Never let the captain down. She has absolute self-confidence, and the side of Tao of the sword will not lose to anyone. Even if it's your own image. Seeing the two of them getting so close in front of him, Mihawk had an indescribable feeling. Whispering in his own clothes, not just that close. She was also protecting a strange man, making intimate gestures. No one can bear this. Of course, I also look forward to your combat power. Rodan nodded and smiled. To be loyal to one's female subordinates, of course, the stronger the better. For her who is only a step away from 4 stars, this battle is an opportunity. At the same time, it is also the key to verifying star power. Talking. He stepped aside. Mihawk's eyes flashed, and he said expressionlessly, Do you only know the man who hides behind the woman? He wanted to test it out a little. Is this man who has been silent all this time capable? Shut up. Who knows? Mihawk yelled angrily, and then blatantly slashed. Just out of sheath. An extremely cold air spread around. This. It is also a heavy, chaotic blade heavy flower tea. The blade is bright and clean. But there is an extremely sharp feeling that makes people unable to look directly at it. Tashigi, who was tied up in the distance, watched without blinking, not caring about his thirsty throat. But looked carefully for a long time. But he didn't find any famous knives from his mind, and they couldn't match all of them. But from the perspective of momentum, it is definitely not simple. At this time, 1 yin and 1 yang. The two were tit for tat. Mihawk was also attracted by the long knife. Except for the color, the shape is basically the same. But completely different. But Mihawk didn't recognize it either. Or, this knife does not exist in this world at all. It's different from your black knife. There was a heroic spirit between Mihuke's brows. Remember, this one of mine will be the one that will cut you down from the number 1 throne. The white knife, day. Black knife night. White sword day. Everything seems to be a coincidence. It doesn't seem to be. Mihawk frowned upon hearing this. Not only imitating his man, but also his sword? As for Mihoko, I learned about it through Rodan earlier. The masculine she. He has truly become the number 1 swordsman, and has been sitting there for a long time. Then she comes. It is bound to cause incompatibility, and there can only be one of the two. Hawkeye, there can only be one, she said coldly. In fact, Mihoko didn't care about this. But who asked the other side to provoke their own captain? Rodan. It is her last and most important bottom line. Only this. Let her intolerable. Ah. Mihawk. I also find you uncomfortable. There are not so many bad words between the two, and they have a calm personality. Don't let them have too much nonsense. Are you going to start? How about we take a gamble? Who will win in the end? It's still a gamble. Is there a need to gamble? Don't say that. That knife is not simple. It's just a gimmick. Maybe it was stolen. It's fine if you're a man, but it's a woman who challenges Hawkeye. I'm really overwhelmed. You still look so young, probably in your 20s? The rest of the people also nodded their heads when they heard the words. Female swordsman. Natural strength is weaker than men. Besides, he was facing the most powerful swordsman recognized in the world. Except for a few in this sea, the rest of the women are basically symbols of the weak. In their expectation. I can't estimate around, oh no. I'm afraid that if you don't make a move, you will be ugly. An old man by Shu shook his head. It's a pity, this girl is so handsome, she actually chooses to be a swordsman. Shut up. Out loud. Not someone else. It was Sergeant Tashigi. You can't get within 100 meters, what qualifications do you have to say about others? Although she also thought that Hawkeye would win. But she, who is also a female swordsman, doesn't feel that women practice swords, as if they have made some mistakes. Have you eaten your rice? But, at this point no one paid her any attention. Because the two people in the center of the field, at this moment, moved. Call out. A man and a woman. Burst out faster than Marine 6 styles, shaved. Disappeared in the eyes of everyone. Chopped together in an instant. Clang. Circles of invisible fluctuations spread out. Just the aftermath formed an 8-level gale, breaking nearby branches one by one. Have you started yet? That's right, this woman caught it? What are you afraid of? It's just the beginning. Some people are still stubborn. Now admitting that this woman is strong, wouldn't it be a slap in the face? Someone folded his arms around his chest, as if he was in control of all the movements on the battlefield. That's right, it's just one blow. I can see all their sword moves. But a blow in the eyes of outsiders. In fact, in the blink of an eye, the two of them crossed paths hundreds of times. Ordinary people can't see clearly. The serious look in Mihawk's eyes. Also more intense. This knife. Go heap only with hockey. It cannot reach this level, whether it is flexibility or other aspects. Absolutely no less than his supreme sharp knife, 12 craftsman. Unfortunately, it was not recorded in the atlas. It's so weird. And what's even weirder? This woman's strength far exceeded his expectations. Even Hawkeye. Has set her as high as he can. Boom. There was a loud bang. Mihawk took a few steps back, but his expression remained calm. Then hold a white sword day. A thin line of tens of meters like white flowing water was drawn out. Hawkeye didn't dare to neglect. Holding the knife in both hands also made a light blue slash. Hoo. A series of sharp cuts flashed. Countless ravines were left on the solidified brick surface. Run. With the expansion of the aftermath, the townspeople could no longer maintain their desire to eat melons, and all ran towards the center of the town. I am afraid that if I am not careful, it will affect myself. Rodan and Crocodile had already retreated to the warship. Tashigi hurriedly cut the binding rope, but the glasses slipped to the ground again. I had to grope around on the ground. A sharp knife light cut across. Tashigi looked terrified, but couldn't avoid it. Mihawk glanced slightly, distractedly split the blow with his own white knife. Look at this silly little girl. Shaking his head slightly. He glanced at his captain again. As if thinking of something, his mind moved. Then his figure flashed, and he was picked up and flew 100 meters away, below the warship, even with a mirror. It's a distraction, send me the crew. Rodan laughed and jumped down. Picking up the red-rimmed glasses and handing them to Tashigi. Speaking up. Counting myself now, there are only 3 crew members, not even a handyman. It does need some manpower. Thanks. After Tashigi put on his glasses, he hurriedly thanked him. But when he saw that it was the hijacker, his expression suddenly changed. But I thought it was the enemy who saved me. I don't know what to do. By the way, where is Mr. Smoker? She turned around quickly. Smoker was not so lucky. Originally injured. Under the strong blow of the great swordsman. Can't dodge. Shocking bloodstains were cut out, and he fell powerlessly on the uneven ground. It turned into a puff of smoke. Then a burst of debris covered her vision, and she could no longer see clearly. How come? Tashigi covered his mouth tremblingly. In the end it turned into elementalization to escape. Still dead. She was a little unclear. Can you still care about others? Crocodile chuckled. It's not bad if you survived by chance. You pirates, you don't understand, Tashigi said with chapped lips. They are colleagues, but also partners. Miss Marine, you are now a prisoner, please correct your posture. Rodan said, hugged by a princess. Then he took her by the arm and jumped lightly onto the warship. It's so rude, let me go. As the battle between the two became more and more fiery. The previously bustling port has long since become empty. Crowds are empty. It turns out. Their perception of danger is correct. Soon. Several slash waves invaded in, tearing through houses as easily as cutting tofu. The destructive power created by the wind blade alone is like a 10th level storm. Quick, Quick, record this first-hand news. A man with a camera in his hand is excited, leading a few younger brothers to capture pictures everywhere. Boss, I can't go over again, my life is important. That's right, Morgan's has been defrauding our branch office, so there's no need to work so hard. What nonsense, this level is fine. The cameraman couldn't take his eyes off. This is a confrontation between great swordsmen, and one of them is a woman, and she is dressed like Hawkeye. This is a big gimmick. Hawkeye. There are not too many things that can be extended. Call. The dry and cracking wind hit. Several people felt a biting chill at first, and then there was a tearing pain on their faces. Extremely tormented. Several newspaper reporters couldn't bear it, and quickly dispersed. Everyone hold on, I believe you will not shrink back, go back and add a big chicken leg each. The cameraman endured the pain and grinned, he is engrossed. He didn't notice that he had become a polished commander. Move around like a heroic soldier on the battlefield. Boom boom boom. The two of them didn't have brilliant sword moves, but the power they caused was still terrifying. Monsters, all monsters. Just kidding, what is this woman's background? It's over. I don't know if the words that belittled her just now have been heard. Don't worry, people won't pay attention to you trash. Hey, is she at a disadvantage now? I think she has been suppressed. Small talk. Most of them are powerful people. And among the rest of the people who were fleeing, there was already a feeling of uneasiness. Marine, where is Marine? This is simply a disaster. Immortals fight, and mortals suffer. Their home is here, who will pay for the final loss? As for the shock, it was worn out long ago. Rodan watched silently. The 3.5-star Mihawk seems to be a little weaker than Hawkeye. But the battle is not over, and everything is still unknown. Besides, one is 29 years old and the other is 41 years old. It's not fair, after all, in the world of pirates. But it will not lead to a decline in strength with age. This 11-year gap. It is impossible for Hawkeye not to improve at all, and it is now at its peak. It's normal to be inferior. Tashigi on a warship. Can't care less about Smoker. And even the safety of the people was temporarily forgotten. At this moment, she was deeply shocked by the scene created by the two of them. This devastating scene. Can a female swordsman, who has always been looked down upon by others, be able to reach such a level? Tashigi's eyes sparkled, who said women are inferior to men. Call out. A curl of hair broke and flew in midair. But it belonged to Mihawk, you are strong. Hawkeye withdrew his knife and said in a deep voice, but there is still a flaw. That being said, his heart was extremely shaken. Whether it's moves or style, they are very similar to him in the past. That's nothing. The key is, she actually grew rapidly in the battle, constantly absorbing his sword moves. Climb up step by step. This speed of progress can only be described as incredible. You ruined my beauty. Mihawk's motivation to practice swords comes from the pursuit of beauty. Now the beauty of long hair is gone. Just made her very uncomfortable. Clang. The two knives collided again. Mihawk swung Hawkeye away with a flick of a sword. It's been a long time. The last time I was so stressed was red hair. Hawkeye recalled slightly. It's too cold to be high. Although his sword skills climbed to ultimate. But there are fewer and fewer people with sword skills close to him, and most of them are from the older generation. Redhead, didn't you beat him? Mihawk was taken aback suddenly. Or the future redhead will lose an arm. Defeat? After he broke his arm, I haven't looked for him. Hawkeye was a little puzzled, but he still said seriously, then, let's decide the outcome with one move. Talking. His black knife suddenly rang out. As if ready. And himself. The attention is all concentrated together, as if entering a certain realm. Broken arm? Miho Kechong frowned slightly. In her world, the redhead's arm was not broken at all. But now is not the time to think about that. Facing herself almost 10 years later, she has to go all out. It was indeed a bit difficult to deal with it just now. But isn't it the best affirmation to defeat a stronger self? The only downside is that he is not a woman. Is this the last moment? A man with fanatical eyes kept swallowing his saliva. He was lying on his stomach in a bunker in the distance, like a Voldemort, with an extremely excited expression. A sword glow flew by. The blood on the back flew out. The broken horses are scattered, but he still didn't move Taishan. Even if the scalp was scratched and pulled out a few bloodstains. Even if the panties are cut in half, the PP is exposed. The cameraman is still holding the camera. It's not about the professionalism of journalists who are shit. But performance, money. As long as you seize this opportunity, you will all fly towards yourself and take off completely. East Blue, which has been silent for a long time, has a big news to prop up the stage. That would be explosive. Hawkeye jumped up. It was the first time he called out the name of the move after being level A before. Night. Just out the first bite, on his knife. A burst of lilac light burst out, and its power increased a lot. Day. Mihoko's voice. It is like a slender hook that picks people up, full of the charm of my sister. And her white knife is on. Layers of snowflakes also quickly condensed. She also jumped up. Whether the two were tit for tat or evenly matched. Just look at this blow. At this moment when the momentum was extremely solidified and extremely serious. Mihoko suddenly felt cold, as if in the scorching summer. Like a pool of crushed ice. Aha. This made her speak out involuntarily. Mihoko blushed. It was, Shueba Fachi, that played a role. Let it break through the 3.5-star barrier at a critical moment, and successfully reach 4-star strength. But others don't know. Hawkeye's complexion changed and he shivered. I unnaturally substituted it in my mind, imagining that I was posing with this picture. Make that coquettish voice. Also made irregular actions. So sissy. Hawkeye's face was ugly, his lower body felt cold, and he couldn't bear it. Now. His sword intent is also like a round balloon. One couldn't hold back. Broken. Then it subsides like a tide. Mihoke bit her red lips, half happy and half ashamed. After the breakthrough. Let her enter a new realm and open up an indescribable field. It's like a fish in water. The strength is even higher. But make such an action. Not only others, but even she couldn't bear it. But it's also an opportunity. Mihoko also grabbed it, took the opportunity to gather momentum, and slashed forward fiercely. Day shadow. Above the sky. A little cold pointed out. A burst of extremely dazzling white light burst out. Like a nuclear bomb erupting, the rays of light covered Kaiyong hanging high in the sky for a short time. It is also mixed with indescribable destructive force. Faced with such a terrifying scene, Hawkeye's warning signs are raised. Should I say it or not? As expected of the most powerful swordsman occupying the first throne. Even if lost for a moment, he also quickly adjusted within a few tenths of a second, held the black knife and shook it hard. The jazz hats of the two had already been blown away. Especially Mihoko, she with fluttering hair. Like a beautiful queen holding a sword, with an indomitable momentum. This is a pure force collision, which makes all skills into nothingness. At an altitude of hundreds of meters, before the two supreme sharp knives touched each other completely, the space couldn't bear it, and quickly collapsed. Followed. Blue and white shadows burst out like thunder. Sky, waves, land. At this time, all of them were affected, turning into bursts of huge cracks and shattering. Almost half of Logue town. Wrong. Is half an island. They were all affected by this, and layers of stone skin cages were set off inside. External. It pushed up towering waves and hit Logue town. It is no exaggeration to call it a natural disaster. The two were separated at the touch of a touch. Boom. Back on the rundown port gravel of Logue town. There was a crisp sound. The two were back to back. Not a word. On the warship. Roden's eyes flickered. A virtual panel that only he can see appeared in front of him. On it. Impressively showing the strength of Mihawk and his party. 3.5 stars turned into 4 stars. It's just a little flickering, and it seems a little unstable. He. Really own a subordinate of a super great swordsman. Rodan watched, suddenly frowning. Looking at the sea area not far away. Hateful. Crocodile slowed down for a while before recovering. She clenched her fair-skinned pink fist. The nails that were originally rosy white were suddenly turned red by her. Until now. Only then did she realize the gap between the two sides. It became more and more difficult to avenge Hawkeye's revenge. Tashigi stared ahead. The expression on the face is wonderful, but the heart is full of tension. Not. Is it over? The cameraman swallowed, and wanted to crawl over to see it more clearly. Hawkeye must have won, after all, how could a woman? Puff. There was a clear sound of blood spattering. On Hawkeye's open chest muscles was a long line of blood. And just sprayed out. He was forcibly pressed down with armed color. But the sword energy inside. Still continuing to destroy, it was an extremely chilling force. After a few seconds, boom, he got down on one knee. It seems that I can't hold on anymore. On the other hand, Mihoko. Except for the hair strands that have been shaved a bit. The rest don't seem to have suffered any harm. But there was something wrong with her face. It seemed to be suffocating something in his mouth. How is it possible? The world's #1 swordsman actually lost. The cameraman's eyes are full of disbelief, But what follows? It was the color of ecstasy welling up from the bottom of my heart. How many years? No, I have to go back immediately. Talking. He rolled over. Holding a camera like a treasure, she ran towards somewhere with her pee-pee naked. The sea is about to boil. The next news front page will revolve around her. Whether it's the first half of the Grand Line or the second half. Everyone will hear the news of the explosion. One? Tashigi covered his mouth in disbelief. A female swordsman. He actually defeated the long-standing Hawkeye? At this time, her heart arose with infinite admiration for Mihawk. At this time, Rodan naturally didn't stand there stupidly. The body moves. He quickly came to Mihawk and supported her. It's okay. Something happened. The corner of Mihawk's mouth twitched. But it left traces of blood. She was hurt not outside, but inside. I'll take you out of here, Marine is already here. Rodan embraced the princess, holding her delicate body. Very soft. Also very strange. Rodan was suddenly confused. It is obviously still a female body structure, but why can it burst out with a strength far exceeding that of a male? The woman who sissies the world. Too strong. Feeling his body hanging in the air. Mihawk was dizzy. Captain, I'm a woman, and you hold me in this position. This is like a girl. The princess hugs the boy. Can a man be conscious? But she reacted quickly and closed her mouth. This is the night world. Are you letting me carry your back? Rodan smiled. He will not take advantage of this. Mihawk said, but. You are the captain. I know. The biggest advantage of Rodan is his empathy. Say it. His body became transparent, speaking up. He is very satisfied with Mihawk's strength. From the current point of view, his combat power is basically on par with Hawkeye. As long as you don't make a big deal out of it. The first half of the channel can go sideways. It seems that behind every successful woman, there is a man. The running cameraman saw Rodan and immediately recorded the moment. Maybe it's a boss-level character, also material. But when he just raised the camera, he found nothing. Only dangling women. The cameraman quickly raised his head and looked into the distance, only to see Mihawk curling up his legs. Moved out of thin air. The cameraman was stunned and a little overwhelmed. Mihawk put away the black knife, lightly. He glanced somewhere, then left, after taking a breath. It seems that there is still some spare capacity. It's really suffocating. A strong woman. The long-lost fight. Let Hawkeye's heart throb again. But today's experience is really unimaginable, he has to take it easy. On the warship. Rodan kicked open the door of one of the cabins. Gently placed Mihawk on the white sheet. Is the injury serious? Rodan was concerned. He can only do the most basic dressing and cleaning. Internal injury. He can't help. Having said that, in fact, the strong self-healing ability and vitality of the sea are extremely strong. Suffering any kind of injury is basically commonplace, and a doctor can help. In fact, the proportion is very small. It's not a big problem. It used to happen when I was fighting with red hair. With disheveled hair, Mihawk's face was pale, and he forced a smile and said, it's a pity that I didn't help the captain kill that guy. Nothing. Rodan breathed a sigh of relief, and immediately smiled. Fat time is still very useful, right? Well. Thinking of this, Mihawk's delicate body suddenly trembled. So embarrassing. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone. Rodan seemed to read her mind and smiled slightly. After this battle, he estimated the combat power of the star against the target. Mihawk of the 4-star crew. To be able to compete with Hawkeye to the end, the strength should be at the Admiral level. And just got promoted. After stabilizing, the difference is not much worse. Think like this. Suddenly there was a burst of shells roaring outside the cabin. Let the warship start to shake. Rodan's eyelids trembled, and he said, you should rest well first, don't get up. Talking. He ran out quickly. When boarding. Rodan ordered Crocodile in advance to grab the rudder and leave Logue town in advance. It was because they sensed that Marines were coming to support them. In fact, with the current combat power, he is not afraid. After all, how many strong characters can East Blue have? But unfortunately, he sensed a dangerous aura. Just met him. Squeak. As soon as you go out. Rodan saw Tashigi bound. Please let me go. With a serious face, she said crisply, surrender yourself, that is the ship of Vice Admiral Garp. A very polite look. Thanks for informing. Rodan's heart skipped a beat. Then the storage ring lighted up slightly. A delicate and gorgeous scabbard floated in the air. With a light grip, he pulled out the taidao. Then he jumped and slashed into the air. Call out. A rapidly fired black cannonball split in two and exploded in midair. A knife that appeared out of thin air. Toshigi opened his eyes wide, flipped through his mind, and murmured to himself uncertainly. Is it a good and fast knife? Hundreds of meters away, a warship with a dog holding a bone in its prow quickly raised its cannons. Aiming at the front, the shells were fired continuously. On board, a Garp with a dog hat and a beard came forward. He ate the last donut. Then he stretched his waist and said, "It seems that I can't continue to refresh the donut record for the time being." Vice Admiral Garp. Several Marine soldiers pushed the shelves one by one. On the shelf, there are cannonballs placed one by one. Garp took off his coat. He picked up a cannonball and threw it forward one by one like throwing a baseball. Whether it is quasi-hard or power, they are more than one step stronger than the main ship's strength. Sheesh. Powerful shells are fired. Rodan stood on the railing, holding this unfamiliar snow and walking. As soon as his eyes froze, he was about to swing the knife again. But at this time, a sandstorm in Crocodile was resolved in advance. Toshigi calmly said, "It's useless. At the current speed of this warship, it is absolutely impossible to get away from the one in front. How will you know if you don't try?" Rodan retracted the knife and gave Crocodile a look. "This kind of thing. You don't need to explain it." Crocodile pouted. A spin. It turned into sand and flew overboard. I saw both hands pressing towards the entire hull and the flag's sail. Kwangsha hit with a hurricane. The speed of the warship was immediately raised to more than one level. In fact, after learning that the opposite boat was Garp, she didn't want to fight head-on. After all, the prestige of this marine hero. But it has been famous for a long time. Even in her world, she is also tough. On the dog's headboat, a marine soldier approached and said, "Vice Admiral Garp, we may not be able to catch up if this continues." Sandstorm. Is it similar to the sand crocodile's ability? Garp was taken aback for a moment, and took off the dog hat. Then the old man will do it himself. Talking. He jumped up, stepping on the moonwalk and galloping away. The distance between the two parties was shortened in the blink of an eye. As expected of Vice Admiral Garp, Moonwalk uses it so skillfully. But I heard that the pirates this time are a bit weird. What's the matter? Vice Admiral Garp never misses. Several Marines on duty were a little proud. Being able to follow some of these famous generals gives me a sense of security. Although the idea is a bit shameful, but it's the truth. No matter which pirate comes, you have to kneel. The old man came here in person. Crocodile grabbed it with both palms, and balls of golden wild sand danced in the air. Desert storm, she growled coquettishly. A group of rapidly rotating wind and sand swept away. In fact, the desert is her natural place, where her combat power can be maximized. Even if it can fly at sea, it doesn't have much advantage. What a coincidence. Rodan's eyes darkened. He encountered this kind of thing just after leaving Logue town, and he was really caught off guard. If Mihawk is not injured, or with one more high-star combat power, it won't be so embarrassing. So far, he increased the hearts of the crew members and tensed up even more. I should have known somewhere to hide, but having said that, it's all in East Blue, and there are not many places to go. This time it was bad luck. First met Marine, such a living treasure who likes to jump around. Ahead. Boom. Garp punched into the sand vortex. It was obviously concentrated in solidified sand, but after touching his fist, it flew away automatically. In the blink of an eye, a big hole was opened. Guys who bother me to refresh the donuts, die. Garp punched Loon hard.